This video is all about getting clear on your niche. And if you don't like the word niche, well, it's simply going to help you get clear on what the focus is for your YouTube channel. So, niching, this is one of my favorite topics to talk about, and it's because it's so controversial. I feel like there's a lot of advice out there that says you don't need to niche. Don't put yourself in a box, yada yada yada. And then there's advice, especially back in not even the earlier days, but a few years ago on YouTube, common advice was niche, 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 niche. And, as I said, now you'll hear opposing views on that. Oh, man. Oh, my gosh. Battery. Okay. So I do think it's clear to have some sort of niche. And like I said, if you don't like the word niche, have some sort of focus for your YouTube channel. And you might be wondering, well, why? Why can't I just post anything that I want? Why can't I just let my interests and my passions lead me in terms of the decision I want to make, in terms of what I want to post on my channel? Well, I'll tell you why. When you are doing that, when you're just going off the cuff and posting anything that is on your heart and mind without any type of organization, just take a moment to imagine, what is that like for the viewer? What is that like when they have absolutely no idea from post to post what you might upload to your channel? And that can provide a very chaotic experience for the viewer. Do you want to do that for the people, for the audience that you're building? Do you want to have a chaotic vibe going on? I would like to assume that you don't. I would think you want to provide the best experience possible to your audience. And when you're just letting your passions guide you in terms of what to post, it can make things very confusing. I can understand that choosing a niche can feel like you're putting yourself into a box. And also, I can understand that choosing just one aspect of yourself to share online can feel limiting. But if your goal is to use your YouTube to bring in some sort of income for yourself, I highly suggest in the start of your YouTube channel, going with one aspect of yourself. And that particular aspect of yourself that you should choose should be something that can help others, or like provide value, because value can be provided in different ways. It doesn't just have to be from an educational standpoint. I think right now a lot of the audiences out there, they do enjoy comfort. And you could be a comfort creator, which means you set a vibe and people tune into you because you are providing, I don't want to use the word comfort again, but you're essentially offering companionship for the viewer. That's value as well. Value can also come from entertainment, so value comes from different ways, not just teaching somebody something, but I probably will be using the educational aspect of YouTube perhaps as examples within this niche and within this video, because that's primarily my niche. I am building an education brand, and I create content that can really help people accomplish a specific goal. So, should we take a moment to define what a niche is? And if I had to put that into my own words, a niche is simply an, an area of focus for your content, an area of focus. I know that I recently just mentioned, choosing one thing, but that phrase actually doesn't even give insight to what it means when you pick a niche, because there you can choose one specific thing. Like, I remember I was looking at a channel, and she only spoke about fragrances. On her channel, there's no other content except about perfume and stuff. And I think that's an example of hyper niching. But also you can take the route of an area. When you look around your home, right? You have areas in your home. You have the kitchen area. There's multiple things going on in the kitchen. There's cooking, there's quick heating up with the microwave, you're washing dishes, different things are going on with that area. And I use that analogy to say when you choose an area to focus on your YouTube channel, there's different there is opportunity to talk about different things, but they have to be related. Back to the analogy of the kitchen, there's different things going on in the kitchen, but most of those things are related. If you're cutting up food, if you're making a smoothie, like everything's related to food usually, unless you're using your sink to wash your hair or something. But in the kitchen, there's a theme going on there. And I guess I just want to use that analogy to show like niching is essentially choosing an area, choosing a theme to focus on your channel. Another benefit of choosing a niche is that it will become easier to create, come up with ideas for your channel and for your videos if you have a niche. And who wants to like struggle with the ideation process when so many different aspects of having a YouTube channel is already hard within itself? So, lead, moving, continuing on with some other benefits of having a niche. When you're out and about, and you're introducing yourself, you're talking about what you do. And if you happen to mention within that conversation, I create content, someone, the person you're talking to, is bound to ask you, oh, well, what do you create content about? Or what do you create content on? And if you don't have a niche, that question can become paralyzing. You may not have anything to say because all these different things are going to come rushing to your mind because you create content on all these different things. But if, on the other hand, you have a niche, you'll be able to pretty quickly and pretty concisely answer that person's question and easily say, I create content on X, Y, and Z because you've taken the time to choose a niche. So let me just quickly pop on screen. We are talking about the benefits briefly of having a niche. Okay, just so you guys can more easily follow along. Benefits of having a niche. I think another benefit is if you want to use your YouTube channel to create some sort of business later down the line, when you're in the process of choosing a niche, you can choose a niche that will ultimately lead to sales and revenue in the future. You can create content, that speaks to this particular person who eventually you would like to be a customer of yours. And all this work that you're putting on your YouTube channel can either be used to your benefit or, either way, it'll be beneficial because you'll get practice with the skills involved with creating YouTube content. But you can kind of start now in terms of nurturing your ideal customers by having that specific content that they would want to watch. So in the future, when you're ready to start your business, you have all this content that speaks to that customer, and it should be easier for you to get sales if you kind of know who you're talking to from a business standpoint with your niche. Derek, thank you for tuning in, Derek. He says having a niche shows direction. I think that's a beautiful way to put it. I think choosing your niche and just taking that moment or that time to really think about, okay, maybe I should have a focus for my channel. it does require taking a moment to think about the perspective of others and how they view you. And when you don't have a niche, you can look like you have a lack of direction. And who wants to follow? That's the thing that we often say, like, oh, follow me on IG. I know on YouTube it's like subscribe to my channel, but ultimately it's following, right? Who wants to follow somebody that doesn't even look like they know where they're going? So there's definitely so much benefits and value in having a niche. So I was watching a video earlier from a creator here named Katie Steckley. She is within I'm not saying I'm in the YouTube education niche, but that is a part of my content. And she recently came out with a video, I think, covering what she wished she knew when she started her channel. And she did bring up this conversation of a niche. And she mentioned something called relational audience versus transactional audience. Okay, audience versus transactional audience. And this is important to the conversation of getting clear on your niche because if you only start your channel with a niche that the sole purpose of that niche is to grow your YouTube channel, get you the 1,000 subscribers, get you the 4,000 watch hours, if that's the only reason the current area of your channel is to, help you grow, then you're gonna probably be creating a transactional audience. The transaction is they're helping you become a monetized creator and you're helping them with something, of course, but whatever the subject matter of your content is, if it's not for the long haul, then this transactional audience, they're not going to be with you when you're ready to switch over to something that is actually what you want to talk about. And I hope I'm explaining that clearly. If it's a bit confusing, feel free to let me know and I can clarify that in some way. Now, on the other hand, you have a relational audience. A relational audience, the key or root word there is relationship. You have built a relationship with these people, not only with the content that you're creating, but you feel it's clear that you feel passionate about the content you're talking about. It's clear that this is something that you do want to do long into the future. It doesn't seem like you're not giving off that get rich quick type of energy in terms of your YouTube channel. You're not just doing it for the numbers. Like it's clear to the viewer that there's real enjoyment behind the content that you're creating. And when the audience can feel that, because that's a feeling, that's definitely a feeling. When the audience can feel that, then that's a large part of relationships being built with your audience. And if you have taken the time to really choose something that it's clear to others that you're passionate about it, these people will want to follow you from 0 to 1,000 and beyond, which I think is so important. So this relational audience versus transactional audience really has to do with the type of niche that you pick in the beginning of your channel. And now I want to take some time to kind of talk about, well, how do I either choose my niche or get clear on what my current niche is and make sure with my niche that I do choose, I'm building a relational audience and not a transactional audience. Well, I'm going to read a little comment that I saw somewhere on the internet and let me know if this is something that you have ever thought of in any shape or form. I'm so happy someone finally said that niching down is not a thing anymore. I never felt connected to that, especially as someone who is multi passionate and felt like I was putting myself in a box to get followers. And then what? I can't ever be anything else. How many of you guys have ever said that I'm interested in a lot of things? How am I supposed to choose a niche? I don't want to be put in a box. I definitely feel where you're coming from. Another way to put this is I don't want to niche. I have multiple interests. And that's valid. I'm definitely here to validate the fact that you are a well-rounded person. You're not just interested in one thing. But I'm a big believer in treating YouTube like a business. Hold on. Hold on 1 second, guys. Yeah, so I'm a big believer in treating YouTube like a business. And I'm not sure if you guys are interested in entrepreneurship, but when you start a business, your business can't be about everything. Like it has to have some type of direction. I think direction is going to be a good word for the remainder of this video. And so if you're treating YouTube like a business, you're going to choose a niche that has equal parts of personal passion for you and um, equal parts like scalability. Like it's a niche that you can talk about for at least 3 to 5 years. And I'll get more into that. And also, I think the third part of it is like, um, hold on, let me gather my thoughts. So I said, talk about for 3 to 5 years, you're passionate about it. And I mentioned scalability. So essentially the third part is going to make you money. If you're treating YouTube like a business, you're going to choose a niche that's going to make you money in some shape or form. Not to say that you only have to go in the finance niche or in the business niche or what you may have learned is the most profitable niches on YouTube. But if you want to treat YouTube like a business, you're going to choose a niche that's going to make you money. You're not going to be using your emotions to dictate what your niche is because you're so passionate about all these different things and you have all these interests. You're going to choose something that speaks to your passions enough to the point where you could talk about it for 3 to 5 years and that it will bring a bag to you in some type of way. So basically, what I'm trying to say is even though you have a bunch of different passions and interests, you have to choose one thing to be known for in the beginning and later on, later down the line, when you have built authority in that one thing, you can definitely switch to something else. Like you have to have the discipline and to understand the the bigger goal and the bigger picture behind your YouTube channel. If YouTube is a hobby for you, if you don't plan to really make this a stream of income for yourself, like I'm talking 6 figures plus for yourself, then fine. Create content on whatever you want. But if you want it to be a business, it has your niche and the focus of your channel needs to be something that can bring you money. And so you might be wondering, okay, well, what do I do with all the other things that I'm passionate about? What do I do with all the things that I'm interested in? Well, have you ever considered like, okay, I'll have a YouTube channel for this niche that I'm passionate about, but can also make me money in the long run. And then I'll have a YouTube channel for my other interests that if it makes me money, cool, but that's not my end goal with it. My intention with creating this other YouTube channel that's focused on something completely different is just to express myself because YouTube is also about self-expression. Have you ever thought about separating the interests that you have across different platforms or within the same platform but on separate channels or separate pages? For me, I think that's a great idea because you'll have separation between like your different interests. I mean, like, why not? What if you had your YouTube channel that your intention is to make money with this YouTube channel, then you have your like hobby-based channel on the other side. And like I said, if it makes you money, cool. But if it doesn't, you're okay because you just want to express yourself. What if that channel ends up making you money too? Now you're generating revenue from two sources. I don't think I hear a lot of people saying like you can have multiple interests, but that doesn't mean you need to talk about it all in one place. What if you have a blog that is the host for another passion that you have? What if you have an Instagram page that is for the other passions that you have? Like no one's no one's saying that you can't express yourself on social media, but it is worth thinking about, do I need to do that all in one on one channel in one place at the same time? Because like I said in the beginning, that can be confusing for the person that's watching you. A benefit to kind of divvying up your interests across different social media platforms is you get to now create these really niche communities. Like for me, for example, that I could do that. I am a mom. Like I could create a whole YouTube channel that's related to a whole bunch of mom stuff. And the one of the benefits of doing that, I would have a strong mom related community over there. So insert whatever, passion or thing that you have, you can build those other niche communities and get all the benefits that one gets from having a community. And in the future, with your hobby related channel or your channel that's focused on your other passions and interests, you can choose to monetize that community that you built if you would like to do so. Hello, 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 Sine. If you are joining, hello, welcome, guys, welcome. So, hello, hello. Um, Once again, feel free to ask any questions. Shelly asks, what did I miss? Just as a quick recap, I spoke about so far, I defined what a niche is and kind of spoke about the benefits of having a niche. And I also said, like, if you don't like the word niche, you can also look at it as a focus for your channel. But right now, we are going to get into something that I kind of briefly touched on so far. And it it's when I mentioned what can you talk about for 3 to 5 years? That's also a way to look at what niche you should choose if you want to make money on YouTube. Once again, if it's a hobby for you, disregard what I'm saying. But if this is a place, you want to make money, what can you talk about for 3 to 5 years? 3 to 5 years is not the rest of your life. It's just a small portion of time when you think about the grand scheme of things. If you're able to lock in and create content around a specific area for 3 to 5 years, then you will build authority in that topic. And after 5 years, after 3 years, that's a good time to be like, I either want to continue on with this, scale it up in some way, or I'm ready to move on and become known for another thing. So if you're here live with us, I would like to know, do you feel like the current niche you have is something that you can speak about for 3 to 5 years? And if you're watching on the replay, please let me know the answer to that question down in the comments below. But I remember when I heard this question of what can you talk about for 3 to 5 years, for me, that was such a like light bulb moment for myself because it was very confusing and difficult to figure out what should my niche be. And I had a list of ideas for what my niche could be, but the question of what can you talk about for 3 to 5 years helped me like kind of cross some things out. Like there's things on here that I could talk about for 6 months, but I can't talk about for 3 to 5 years. And I just wanted to share that question with you guys just in case it could be helpful with you narrowing down and getting clear on what your niche is. Another point around this idea of choosing a niche you could talk about for 3 to 5 years is something that Roberto Blake, another YouTube educator, kind of touched on. He made the point that a lot of people don't want to put their audience first, they want to put themselves first. And we kind of touched on that already. And he also said, like, the audience suffers because the creator is bored. And that's the part that I really want to dive into right now. The creator is bored. Have you ever switched up your niche or created a video, not a random video, but have you ever gotten bored of talking about the same topic in your videos or the same general area in your videos? Like, and was that boredom because you simply didn't have the discipline to continue to find new ways to discuss this topic? Or you didn't have the interest to find new ways to discuss this topic? Or do you really not feel enthusiastic about the niche to begin with? I think that's a valid question. It's unfair to make your audience suffer because you're bored. And if you're a new creator and you're just getting started with YouTube, definitely feel free to try things out. There's content creators that never created a piece of content in their life, but there's other creators who they've been creating on TikTok or Instagram and they're just trying to get their feet wet with YouTube, right? But I definitely acknowledge the person who's like, I never created content, right? I only created content here and there. I don't know what I want to talk about. Well, you definitely need your season of testing the waters out. So that's one thing. Definitely test the waters out. But if you've been creating content enough and you see a pattern within yourself where you switch to different niches because you're bored, it's something worth reevaluating, because once again, it's unfair to let the audience suffer because you're bored with what you're talking about. I think it's a true skill to be able to speak on something for 3 to 5 years. That takes a lot of creativity. It takes a lot of creativity to find different angles to talk about a similar subject matter for that amount of time. Think Media is a great example of a group of content creators or a channel where it's like they talk about the same thing, but in different ways over and over again, year in, year out. They refresh ideas constantly. And if that's a skill that you don't feel like you're good at right now, it's worth trying to improve. Grow with Shelly says, a niche stresses me out for some reason. Does anybody else feel the same way? Do you feel stressed by a niche? I think that's a valid feeling to have. Justin says, I pivoted my niche because I got burned out and learned I wasn't truly passionate about it, which is something I touched on earlier. I think this comment right here is when you are in your trial and error phase, you may find like, ooh, I think I like this thing. And you dive in on it. And then you realize, like Justin did, this is not what I'm truly passionate about. And I think a part of your YouTube journey is really finding what you're actually passionate about. And that takes time. So you do have to allow yourself the time to figure that out for yourself. Derek says, my first channel failed in part because that niche wasn't me. So it wasn't fun for me. Here's the thing. If we're going to be able to create content for the long haul, we have to be passionate about it. It has to be fun for us in some form. We're not like every time we create a video, it's not going to be like confetti flying everywhere. We're so like, you know, through the moon excited and this is the funnest thing on the planet Earth to do. No, because that's not realistic. But your niche, the niche that's right for you, always maintains that perfect amount of passion, no matter what. And you find yourself, even if you're tired, even if your day was bad, insert whatever negative circumstance, you can figure out and pull within you to create a video on that topic. I need a charger, you guys. Oh, man, can one of y'all give me a charger? No. But so I do want to circle back to a niche stresses me out for some reason. If I could maybe take some time to figure out or just consider why it's stressful. And if Shelly, you want to share with us like the top reason why it's stressful while I'm thinking about it, I think niches can be stressful. I don't want to repeat what I said, but I think it's the whole no one wants to be put into a box. And if you don't, I think we have to reframe that thinking. I think we have to reframe that thinking. Hello. Niching does not equal being put into a box. Niching equals getting clear on a specific area to focus on so that can equal some money. Like that, I think that's what we should do. We're on the internet. Like we're on the internet right now. Like all of us are strangers. Like you probably don't know me if you're watching this video. You only know this one aspect of myself. There is many sides to me, right? But I chose to focus on online business and building a personal brand and all that type of stuff because I'm passionate about it. And later in life, I can monetize this topic in some sort of way. But I don't feel that I'm put in a box. I feel like I'm a complete human. And so maybe some people, and I'm not saying this is how Shelly feels per se, but maybe some people just like put too much weight on a niche, like, and makes a niche feel too much a part of their identity. Choosing a niche is not choosing your identity. Choosing a niche is a strategic business decision. Choosing a niche is a strategic content decision. Your identity is still you. And I think that's a whole nother live stream, a whole nother topic. But who who you are, some of y'all have seen my tattoo, but I never showed it. Let me see. My microphone is covering it. I have know yourself tatted on my chest because that's one of the most important things that people need to have out here, especially if you're going to be a content creator. I'm not saying I know myself all the way, but I know myself enough to the point where I'm not necessarily stressed out by a niche because I know that it's not my identity. I know that it's me keeping the audience first, keeping the audience in mind, and choosing something where people can come along with a journey with me. A niche, like I said, has a good amount of passion in it, but it's also something that people can come along with me for a ride as I begin to grow. That's funny. If I do that, a little thing pops up. And so I hope you guys can feel what I'm saying. I really do. Let's see, take a moment. What's being said here? I started my channel wanting to do tech reviews. Realized that doesn't align with my day-to-day self, nor something I touch on a lot. But now I'm playing around with cozy lifestyle vlogging and crafting. That's amazing. I think this comment really summarizes what I've spoken about up until this point. We talked about testing things out when it comes to a niche and then recognizing when it doesn't align with yourself. And I love how she said, doesn't align with my day to day self, because we just were getting into the topic of an identity. Like your niche has to have some level of alignment with who you are, because it is something you need to feel free to continue to talk about for a long time, at least 3 to 5 years. Um, And so now I'm playing around with cozy lifestyle blogging and crafting. And I did mention that a niche doesn't always have to be educational based. A niche can provide a vibe to someone. Like you go to them because of the feeling they provide to you, which is also valuable. Value doesn't only come in education. Value also comes in feelings, also comes with companionship. So if you feel like maybe a niche that is right for you is similar to what's here on the screen, cozy lifestyle blogging and crafting, you're going to be able to find others like that and build a community around that for sure. Niche uses to stress me out, but I've learned to just have fun with it and not be afraid to play around and change it up a little, which I think is important. I think it's really important because the YouTube space doesn't provide, it can seem like you don't have that time and freedom to play around and figure it out, which is so valid. It's so valid. This is my second channel. I played around and I figured it out on my first channel. And I think earlier, Derek mentioned how his first channel failed in part because the niche wasn't me. So it's like it definitely is a trial and error game when it comes to getting clear on your niche. And it's like if you feel stressed out, if you feel unsure about what your niche is, perhaps the remedy that you're looking for is I need to just give more time to trial and error and having fun with this and pulling the pressure off. I know I spoke about your niche should be able to make you money in the future, but the future is the future. And we have to allow ourselves time to get that clarity first and not be in a rush to get that clarity so that we can make sure we have that alignment, enough alignment with self so we can continue to talk about it for long enough. Shelley says it's overthinking and doubt. So she did share with us that a niche stresses me out for some reason, and her reason is it's overthinking and doubt. Has anyone else dealt with these feelings of overthinking and doubt? Because they're such valid feelings as well. You're just unsure. You're just unsure. Should I talk about this? Should I not? Should I go this way or should I not? And um, I think that's a part of the process as well. I remember I went through an overthinking process, and oh my gosh, overthinking isn't fun at all. It's not fun at all. But how did I get myself out of overthinking? I think it falls back into what was said right here. Excuse me, right here. Niching used to stress me out, but I've learned to just have fun with it and not be afraid to play around. The moment I stopped being afraid to just try shit out, oh my gosh, a weight was lifted off my shoulder and I dealt less with overthinking and I dealt less with doubt. And it's hard to teach how to let go and get into the mindset of having fun and not being afraid. But it's just it's just a decision that you have to make ultimately. You just have to decide like I don't want to feel overwhelmed and overthink and I just want to try. Like yesterday I spoke about um I had a lot of breakthroughs when I heard this kind of quote, don't be afraid to be seen trying. And sometimes the doubt and the overthinking is not necessarily coming from other people looking, but sometimes it is. And you don't want to be seen making mistakes. But once you let go of that, niching and getting clear on what you want to share within your content does become easier. Marissa, I believe this is Marissa. I hope I didn't miss this, but I've been hearing about an alternate option is creating for a target person instead of a niche. I like the flexibility combined with the clarity that that option provides. Yes, let's talk about that for a second. So, and Katie Steckley, I brought her up earlier, but she put it perfectly. Knowing your audience is the new knowing your niche. I think she said something to that effect. So target person can also be called target audience. When you know your target audience, that allows for variety within your niche. You know, people, like we've kind of unpacked so far, we often have different interests. We're not monolithic, I think is the word. We don't just have one thing that we like and want to focus on, right? So when you have your target audience in mind, they're the same way. And that's why if you're super duper clear on who your target audience is, you can it will allow you to find yourself being bored with the content, allow you to experience less of you being bored with the content you create. And I do have a video on my channel about getting to know your target audience. Um, you can create, I think, similar to what Marissa says here, target person. You want to create your target persona or your audience persona, rather. Once you do that, you can, what I found is cool once I created my audience persona, when I find a member of my audience or a person that fits my audience persona out in the real world. Oh no, I don't know where those balloons came from. But yes, when I find that person out in the real world, now I can study them in a way and figure out what do they like. Because then if I know what they like, then I know a topic that I can create on my channel that's still going to resonate with my um, intended audience, and it's going to stay within my niche. Like a niche gives you parameters, and so does having a target person. It just gives you parameters. That's the whole thing here. If you need clarity on the focus of your channel, it's just another way to put it is you need some parameters to work with so you don't go out of line, you know? Shelly says, love that, not being under pressure to get that clarity, right? Like it's gonna come, some of our greatest moments as creative people come when the pressure is off. And I I just don't think that is taught enough to create, like take enough breaks or learn how to make your brain feel at ease so that it can come up with the ideas and everything for you. But that's a true hack. Like um putting ourselves, I'm sorry, this whole drawer is open. Putting ourselves in situations where we can feel at ease will bring clarity on our content and our niche much quicker than that intentional time to like think about it sometimes. So Shelly says, I really desire a personal brand where you can post anything and your audience is just here for you. So I guess that would be more layering. So layering is a niche figuring out technique that I learned from Erin on Demand, another content creator on here. So her thing is like niching versus layering. So let's talk about that. Can we get into that for a second? Um, I think that's just hard to grow a community with a personal brand and blogs. How many of us watch bloggers on YouTube? Two hands, two hands. I love bloggers, right? But if we sorry, if we take some time to survey the vloggers we watch, they've been doing it for a little while. And what we have to recognize is when they started YouTube, they were starting YouTube at a different time in life. Us right now, starting YouTube right now, we're up against different kind of things. And exactly what you said, it's just harder to grow a community with the personal brand, vlogs, etc. You can definitely, if you want to have a personal brand where you can post anything and your audience is just here for you, you can do that. But it's just going to take you longer. About 5 years ago, I followed a few like vloggers, and now like they would get like maybe 1,000 views or 800 views on their videos or whatever the case may be. But now they get in 11K in one day, or, they're starting to have that viewership, but it took them time. I'm telling you, it took them time. So it's really about making the decision here, guys. Like, do you want to be successful now or be successful later? Do you want to take that really slow creeping crawling approach to your personal brand, or do you want to get there quicker? And I think if you want to go slow, you can do the vlogs and everything like that, but you have to be very, very, very consistent to, You could post one vlog a week, but that's going to take you even longer. If you want to take the vlogger, personal brand, just vibe with me type of content route, you need to be constantly on people's radar so that they can find you. If you are a person that watch vloggers, you know you've had your time periods in your life where you're like, I need something new. I'm looking for somebody else, and you go intentionally search for that new vlogger. You never know, one day that someone can find you, but you need to make it easier for someone to find you by posting as much vlogs and as much content as you possibly can. If you want to get to a successful YouTube career sooner, that's where I definitely suggest having a much more focused area and not making your content so much about you, and making it more about how can you serve your audience. What do you guys think about that? Mariama agrees. She seems to want a personal brand where you can post anything and your audience is just here for you. She also says, I have different topics that I alternate between with the hopes that I'll eventually tell a story as I continue to put out content. And what I think is key here is that it'll eventually tell a story, which it will definitely happen if you're consistent. But like I said, it's just about how quickly do you want to truly monetize your audience and your endeavor and your pursuit as a content creator. It really just depends. Um, but yeah, to another point about niching versus layering, I think that's such a controversial subject right there. Let me just write that out so we can be clear what we're talking about. Niching versus layering. Okay, so I'm just going to use this point to kind of wrap up where we are in the video. If you layer your content, right? If you do something similar to Mariama, if you have different topics that you alternate between in the hopes that it'll eventually tell a story, it will be harder for an audience to be developed, and then for your audience to want to come along with you on this journey of, you know, we discuss different things. But if you want to have a niche, it's going to be more clear for your audience to follow along. It's going to be more clear for your audience to see how you fit into their life, how you're going to be able to help them with their goals and the things that they want to accomplish. And in turn, you probably will be able to grow your channel quicker. Now, here's something in the middle. Here's something in the middle between niching versus layering. You can have a niche, right? But the layering aspect, you insert that into the videos themselves. You don't lead with that. Like, for example, what's an example we can use? Trish said earlier her niche is home decor, renovations, and lifestyle. So let's just use the example of home decor. Let's say Trish has what's not that much related to home decor. Let's say, like, I want to use cooking. Cooking comes to mind. Cooking and home decor, it all happens in the home, but cooking is not directly related. But cooking would be one of those layering aspects, right? So she would have a home decor video, and in that she might have a segment where the things that she's talking about is home decor related, but what she is doing is cooking. And she might be like baking or making some chicken pasta, right? And she's talking about home decor. Like, I recently upgraded my kitchen, and there's all these different decor items in here that just makes cooking feel much better whenever I'm in here. And I just love the vibe of cooking because of what I did, the little small upgrades I made in my kitchen. Oh, by the way, my chicken pasta is finished. If you want the recipe, I linked it down below. But yeah, like, here's some of the different decor changes I made within my kitchen to make cooking feel more like a vibe. That's how she has layered in a topic that's not related to home decor into her content, and those then the people in her audience that are there for the home decor, but they also like cooking, now they have a stronger connection with Trish because she's shown a different side of herself and that they also relate to, but she didn't lead with it. She didn't come on her home decor channel with a video talking about here's how you cook a chicken pasta. So I hope you see that difference in that middle ground that you can have when it comes to niching versus layering. Mariama says, what about striking a balance between vlogging and educational content? That's been my strategy. But I do agree, vlogs take a lot of work. Vlogs take a lot of work and they take up a lot of freaking storage space. I did vlogging on my first channel, and that's how I know that. But let's talk about this striking a balance between vlogging and educational content. I think a great example of that is Aaron on Demand, and Vanessa Lau recently came back to YouTube. Now, these are two people, if you aren't familiar with who they are, they're in the YouTube education space. Essentially, they do educational content. Erin on Demand started vlogging from the beginning of her channel alongside her educational content, but so she does business and entrepreneurship and YouTube type content. So her vlogs would be like day in the life of an entrepreneur. That's how I think you strike that balance. Whatever your educational content is, you can have a vlog, but that vlog needs to be centered around the aspect of your life that has to do with the content that you're educating people on, because people do want to see the behind the scenes. They do want to see that lifestyle aspect, but they don't necessarily want to know everything, about your life. The vloggers that we're probably most used to watching, they show us every part about them, but their niche is technically their lifestyle 100%. But if you just want to use vlogging as a format to like put your content out there, that's different than being a lifestyle vlogger. Using vlogs as a video format is an opportunity to kind of like take off the professionalism for a second, like get out of your traditional filming environment, bring people in, like I said, behind the scenes, and show them what it's like to be I don't know, Mariam, I'm not sure what your content is, so I can't use that as an example, but show people what it's like, to live this life. Content oftentimes needs to have that little aspirational piece to it, and it's hard to put that aspirational stuff in your educational content unless you're flexing all your numbers, like I make six figures, I do all this, I do that, yada yada yada. People want to aspire to that, but with using vlog as a video format, you're able to you're able to show people a part of your life that they may want, like they may aspire to. So I hope that that makes sense. Shelly says, I've been working on that too, Mariama. So yes, back to like striking a balance between vlogging and educational content. Just to reiterate, just make sure the vlogs have that through line. This is where we can get into the topic. Like if you're here right now live with me, I'm about to break something down to you guys that was really, really eye-opening to me in this idea of like talking about more than just one thing on your channel. And that thing is the lighthouse strategy. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it for a second. I just shot out there a through line. If you want to strike a balance between vlogging and educational content, there needs to be a through line. And this is like a great opportunity to tell you what the lighthouse strategy is. So when the sailors and them, they were in the ocean and they're at sea, they look to a lighthouse to provide direction, right? This is where we should be going. And I'm doing all of this off the top of my dome, so just give me a second. But the people at sea, they use a lighthouse to give them direction, right? And what's the correlation between that and your content? Well, if you utilize the lighthouse strategy Everything in your content goes in the same direction, right? It's different stuff. It may be a vlog here, it may be a how to there, it may be a tutorial, maybe here's my favorite products, but it's all leading in the same direction. And leading in the same direction, another way to say that is it all has a through line, you know? So if you can figure out what your lighthouse strategy is, you will be able to put that through line in all your content. So you may be wondering, how do I figure out what my lighthouse strategy is? If you all may have heard of the word is leaving my mind. Hold on. You may have heard of it's like because like when you start a business, you have to know it's not a value statement, but let's go with like value statement. Like, what is your message? Like, what is the message behind your content? If you know your message behind your content or your goal behind your content, then that is your lighthouse strategy. I'm going to use my husband as an example. My husband works in tech and he wants to talk about tech, like working in big tech on his channel. But his lighthouse strategy is but he also wants to talk about finances because he's into finances. So it's like tech and finance, they're similar, but it could feel all over the place if he doesn't have his lighthouse strategy, right? So his message behind his content is to help people increase their impact and increase their income. You see how that's like a nice, neat statement? So, what is yes, mission statement, Marissa? Thank you, Marissa. Mission statement. I was trying to say, y'all might have heard of a mission statement before, and that's your lighthouse strategy. If you can be clear on your mission statement, another way to put that is the message behind your content. And if find a way to insert your message in every piece of content that you have, then you'll have cohesion on your channel. Even though there's different formats you may use, even though you may talk about different things here and there, if it all has the same message, then it's all cohesive. You won't feel like you're put in a box. You'll have some variety within your content and you can keep flowing that way. Mission statement, that was exactly what I was looking for. Let's see what you guys are talking about. Um, Trying to incorporate speaking to my audience and building relationships through vlogging and education to have some value, kind of a mix. I don't know. It will all come together. Can I just say something about? I like that even though Lavender Afternoons Home Life Vlogs wants to do vlog content, She has she wants to also do educational content to provide some value. And the point that I wanted to make here is that's so amazing because that's a great strategy for having really high quality, high paying brand deals in the future. Sometimes when you create vlog content, it's hard for brands to understand how can we insert our product into your content and make sure it's a good fit. If you have a little bit of educational content on your channel, and you kind of consistently like have this specific content where you know you're providing value in, it will really work for you and be beneficial to you in terms of a monetization strategy because you'll be able to clearly tell brands, this is a value that I provide. I also do vlog content, which helps me really nurture my community and it helps me build a strong relationship with them, which means we're locked in like this, which is great for making sales, right? But this is the specific value that I provide and I teach on. And this is why I know your brand will align with my brand because I've clearly depicted my value in this educational type of content. So that's a really great strategy to have if you want to do vlogs so that if you want to do vlogs, do educational content in some shape or form as well, so that you can maximize your brand partnerships and things like that. Side note, if you ever have merch, I hope it says, let's talk about it for a second. or let's get into it. Oh, is that for me? That's so funny. That's a great idea because I'm quick to say, let's talk about this for a moment, guys. Okay, so I have been live for an hour. That went by quick. I do want to open the floor for any questions you guys may have that are currently watching live. And then if you're watching on the replay, you can always leave questions down below. But I do like to give those that are on live with me an opportunity to ask questions because it may help. Um, it may help somebody out who's watching, whether live or not. So yes, I'm gonna see if you guys have any questions or anything on your mind that you need fleshing out. This could be related to content, business, or niching. Okay, so when it comes to content strategy, I guess the last thing that I'll say is in one of these live streams, I'll get into content strategy. But I just wanted to drive the point home that if you have a niche, all content strategy will become so much easier. And if you want this to content creation, YouTube to be a part of your life, you got to find ways to bring that ease into this because a lot of this YouTube like shit is hard. Is it not? Like, isn't all of this hard? And yeah, you have to find a way to ease things out. Niching, or like I said, if you don't like that word, having some type of focus. And we talked about, layering, getting clear. So it's either you want to get clear on your niche, get clear on the focus of your channel, get clear on your target audience. However you want to look at this, right? Putting some parameters around the content you create on a given platform will really make like that is like the nucleus. Let's bring it back to biology. That's like the nucleus of your content cell, your niche or your target audience or the area you want to talk about. Okay. However you want to put that, that's like your nucleus. And once you have that clarity, everything else will become easier to, like your output on everything else will become easier. Like we said, getting to that clarity is a process within itself, is a journey within itself. It's going to be a roller coaster for a lot of us to get clear on what our niche is. But once we arrive there, I feel like everything else will flow so much more smoothly. And we need that because we don't need to be stressed out and things like that. So yeah. Fearlessly Curly says, I've been watching your replays and I appreciate the topics you've been talking about on your lives. I appreciate that so much. If you guys have any topics for me to cover, please let me know. I don't mind doing that. My lives have been a great exercise for me and it's just helping me improve overall. Tomorrow, I think I'm going to be, I know for sure is going to be about preparing for lives, getting prepared for your first live or something like that. Mariama says, saying this was great. And on this positive note, I think this is a perfect place to end tonight's live. Thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful night. And if you're watching on the replay, enjoy your next hour of life, whether that's night, day, or in the middle, whatever. It's late. Let's go have some fun and continue to grow on this journey. Thank you guys. Bye bye.